Hello, everyone, and welcome to another installment of TEDXcellence, the show in which I find out how other people from other places find their way to live in places where I am. Sure, that works. And I come to you live from my Corona bunker on the moon with Dogcat Fox, a Pepperjack, and all of you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Thursday. Thufferin Thuckatash Thursday. Yes, friends, we're back once again into the wonderful world of immigration policy. There was a essay I did a reading of the other day regarding the proposed abolition of ICE. And so when this particular TEDx talk came across my radar yesterday, I thought, this might be a good supplement. Maybe it'll be educational, maybe it'll be informative, maybe it'll be infuriating. I don't know. We'll find out together. But it's the living as an undocumented individual. So we'll see how that works. Thank you. This is Kyle. Hello, chat people, and Scribe of the Light. Scribe of the Light. That sounds like some kind of D&D character name. But who else besides Kyle is joining me today? Why, that would be Pink Hall, the Driving Ape Man. Hello. Black Belt for Christ. Hello. Saint Michael. Hello. Check Your Logic. Hello. Keeverdam. Hello. Killer Turnus, hello. Assassin of the Gray, hello. Luke Skywalker 2, hello. No Name, hello. Some Unknown Nation, hello. Wade Willison, hello. Sparrow Girl, hello. Brittany Holland, hello. Dark Allow, hello. Crimson Tiger, hello. Red V7, hello. Jonathan Peterson, hello. Just Paul, hello. Tux Mint, hello. Megan Ring, hello. Havoc Vladimir Stalinov, hello. Zalbla, hello. Thrashy, hello. Begarit, hello. Taslim Hassan, hello. John Miller, hello. Eric, hello. Jono, hello. Ost San, hello. Froggy, hello. Let's see. And then the chat jumped. Nobody Not Me, hello. Spittlebuggies, hello. Thank you, John Miller. How costly would it be to abolish the abolitionist? How costly would it be to abolish the abolitionist? I don't know. What do hitmans run these days? I don't know. Ask Agent 47. Juggernaut, hello. Deco, hello. Robert Gruber, hello. Or actually, I want to say Robert Gruber, hello. Slovenly Gulf City American, hello. Alpha Omega, hello. Thank you, Killer Turnus. Just got back from post-op visit. Eye is healing well. 12 more weeks of special eye drops, and I'm good. Slight visual acuity improvement. Excellent. It took mine quite a while to readjust to everything and heal up. So yeah, when they say it, eyes take a long time to heal, they do. But once they do, you're in good shape. So all my best to you and your sight, because I've been through that to a certain extent. Not fun at all. Very worrisome, but I'm sure things will turn out all right. I got my fingers crossed. I got my lucky rabbit's foot over here for you. Yeah, my eye, as far as, for all intents and purposes, my sight has completely been restored to my bad eye. If I really focus on what I know is the occlusion, which has still got its little ghost of itself there, if I really pay attention for a second, it bothers me. But, I've got my peripheral vision fine. Yeah, I wouldn't, at this point, it's hard to tell that there was ever a problem. Thankfully, I lucked out. But anyway, all that aside, some emulation. Did you start with the Pepper Jack at noon, Scribelight? No. I had work stuff. I was on a conference call that got rescheduled and pushed back by an hour. So from what I assumed it would be, and that's why I had to push the show out half an hour because it was going to be right in the middle of it. So thankfully, that wrapped up just a minute before I started this. So here I am. Rock me like a hurricane. But not me so much as our speaker. So get your bingo cards ready, everyone. Link is in the description of the bingo card. Based on the title alone, this might just be a story. And if it is, okay, we'll listen to the story. If it's a lecture or something more, we'll find out together. But with that being said, start out with a few seconds for sound test. You guys tell me if you can hear this, and then we will proceed.
My name is Kevin. I am a first-generation college graduate, and I am one of the 800,000 undocumented students that have benefited from the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program also called DACA.
Okay, so there we go. Kevin, DACA recipient, or I guess beneficiary. You guys hear that okay? Yay, story time, says Wade. Sounds good, says Midnight. Says good, says no room for squares. Hello, no room for squares. Crest Pierce, hello. All right, so first generation college student, one of the 800,000 under DACA. All right, so he was brought to this country illegally by his parents. That's why he qualifies for DACA. All right. Now hit the button.
Now, undocumented migration is not unique to the United States.
You're very correct. People illegally crossing borders has been going on for a very long time.
According to the Center for Migration Studies, there are close to 250 million migrants all over the world.
Migrants? Yeah. Are you going to distinguish between legal and illegal?
There are about that makes up about 3.4% of the population, and about 50 million of those are considered to be undocumented or irregular migrants.
Okay. All right. So let's see, how many did he say? 200 some odd. So we'll say about a fourth are migrating illegally. Okay.
Here in the United States, there are close to 11 million undocumented or irregular migrants.
Undocumented or irregular. What do you mean by irregular? I don't know what that means.
And you might think about, why would somebody leave their country, risk their lives to go somewhere else?
I can think of a lot of reasons for doing so. It's the method by which they go to the somewhere else that is really the issue here, isn't it?
Well, similar to the Pilgrims in 1620, when I came to the United States, I came with a purpose.
You did? I thought you came to the United States as a minor who had no legal say in what was going on and thus qualified for DACA. Did you come alone? I'm curious.
And I always remember Viktor Frankl's quote, a Holocaust survivor, that said, if you know your why, then you can endure any how.
Okay, so far you've associated your own experience with the Pilgrims and Holocaust survivors. Okay.
Migrating to this country, my purpose and the purpose of my family was to connect with our parents.
Connect with your parents. So you broke the law for a family reunion?
Connect with my father in particular. You see, my father, one of 12 brothers and sisters, grew up working his father's land and didn't have a chance to a formal education very late in his 20s.
Okay. Thank you, John Miller. Of course, they won't differentiate illegal from legal. You have to have the illegal group lumped in so they are protected by legal immigrants. Well, I mean, he did make the distinction. He did say that of these, 200 some odd million migrants, 50 million are quote unquote illegal or undocumented or irregular, whatever that means. So at least he's distinguished it in that sense. I'm waiting for the punchline as to he came here with a purpose as someone who qualifies for DACA, which means he had to have been what? I forget what is the age cap on DACA? Something like it's either 16 or something lower than that when you came across the border. So, okay, your father worked the land and did not have a formal education. And that has what to do with anything?
And in 1995, 1996, there was a big economic downturn in Mexico that forced my father to look for opportunity somewhere else in order to provide for his kids and his wife.
And so he came to America illegally with you then?
So he came to the United States.
Illegally, right?
7 years later, after many lost birthdays and many at-bats that my father didn't get to see me take,
Because he was living illegally in another country for 7 years. Okay.
We're big baseball fans in the family.
Uh-huh.
My mom decided that it was time to bring the family together.
So then your mother independently decided to move all of you across the border illegally. Okay.
So we didn't cross the border out of necessity by itself.
You didn't cross the border out of necessity. Okay.
We crossed the border out of love.
Oh, it was a crime of love. Golly.
Because I remember the 2 nights and the 2 days that we spent crossing the Arizona desert.
Your mother took you as a minor child to cross the Arizona desert. Pinnacle of good parenting.
I always known about my status.
Have you?
Or lack of status, I should say.
So you've known since you were a young child that you weren't supposed to be here. Got it.
It was very tough for me to make a community in high school because I didn't want people to get too close to me. I didn't want them to know a lot about my history and my past.
Because you were lying in there illegally. Admittedly, legally through no fault of your own because you were a minor at the time. Uh-huh.
Because I felt a little ashamed about it.
A little ashamed, a little scared maybe because deportation loomed over you and your parents' heads for being here. Are you going to acknowledge the fact that you broke the law? You said undocumented. At any point in this presentation, I'm curious to know if he ever actually acknowledges the fact that the law was being broken.
Also, I was just afraid.
Yes.
So you would find me at the media center playing Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon by myself.
Uh-huh.
And then eventually other English as a second language student joined me. And we were talking about folks from former Yugoslavia, Honduras, Mexico, and Puerto Rico.
Were those other students also not supposed to be there, or what? What does that got to do with anything?
And Hong Kong.
Okay.
So we made a little community from there.
Okay.
Kind of learning each other as we played.
Uh-huh.
Learning English as we played.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't until my 11th year in high school, my junior year in high school.
So your junior year in high school. So your dad was there 7 years, and then you were brought across the border after 7 years. And I'm assuming, again, I don't know how old you were. You didn't say. Something like, somewhere between 12 and 16. I forget exactly what the cap age is for DACA. But either way, so yeah, so junior year minus, well, I don't know how old you were. Okay, but anyway, so your dad was in the country at least for, let's say 12 years. I'm just going to guess 12 years to that point, something like that, until you say otherwise. Dad was in the country illegally for 12 years. Okay. And then you were there up till you were in your junior high school. Okay.
High school.
Yep.
That my professor introduced us to the Great Migration of the 1910s.
The Great Migration of the 1910s. Thank you, I Vercingetorix. FYI, Cesar Chavez knew illegals undermined his immigrant rights work and burnt their houses down. Si se puede, if I'm saying that correctly. Well, I don't think their houses should be burned down necessarily, but okay. And every time I see Cesar Chavez, I think of the boxer. I'm so historically inept in some things that I read that name and the first name I go to is the boxer. I know that's not who you meant, but all the same.
The Harlem Renaissance and poets like Langston Hughes.
What? Oh, no, wait. What's that got to do with you?
And in one of his poems, Langston Hughes talks about the following question.
Uh-huh.
What happens to a dream deferred?
What happens to a dream deferred? Okay, I'm going to circle weightless example in a second if you don't have a really good explanation as to what that quote has to do with anything.
When I read that, I felt that he was talking to me.
He wasn't.
And I began to wonder what's going to happen to my dream of going to college after high school.
It's probably going to be kind of rough. But then you probably already knew that, since you said you'd always known your status. So thoughts about how you would advance in life, education, society, and so on had to have already been forefront on your mind. Or did I miss that part somehow?
At the moment, I didn't know any other undocumented immigrants that had made it to college.
Uh-huh.
And the price tag just seemed out of range for me and my family to take care of.
As it does for a lot of people who aren't here illegally. So what happens to a dream deferred? Well, here's the thing. Your parents deferred it. You're not going to classify yourself as a victim, I hope, although I have a feeling we're going to get there.
So my dream of being the first one in my family to go to college indeed was deferred or put on hold when I graduated.
And whose fault was that?
Mostly out of three things.
Yeah. Three things. That would be a list. I'm going to the bingo card. Get my colors set up here. Okay. Free space and a list. And I'm going to wait a bit on the weightless example. Let's go over the bingo card real quick. Anecdote that probably never happened. He hasn't really given any yet that sounded unreasonable. Self-vilification or wretchedness, no. Systemic institutional, not yet. Weightless example, I'll wait on that. The one quote, I don't know if that counts as an example. We'll see. Word salad, no. Leaves out vital context. Probably I'll be circling that soon, but especially since he hasn't admitted yet that, you know, his family broke the law and we're in the country illegally. But takes credit for something done, experienced by others in their demographic. Well, not in their demographic so much, but he's already associated himself with a Holocaust survivor and Langston Hughes and like what? Like what? And the Pilgrims? So I don't know if that technically counts because, I mean, well, as far as like immigrants, I'll wait on that one. White supremacy, no. Privilege, no. Equity, no. Plays victim. I have a feeling we're going to get there quite clearly sooner or later. Attempt to coin new buzzword, buzz phrase, not yet. Wage gap. He's talked about his family's finances, but that's not really wage gap yet. Patriarchy, no. Feminism, no. Mind reading assumes motives. Well, I mean, I'm not going to say he was scared about what people would think if they got too close to him, but I'm not going to, that's a bit muddy. I'm not going to do that one yet. Toxic, no. Marginalized, marginalization, not yet. Make something about race, sex, etc. for no reason, not yet. Childhood or family anecdote, yep. Coming across the border, etc. Arizona desert, childhood or family anecdote. Contradicts own point or argument. He hasn't really argued anything yet, so we got to wait on that one. Benevolent condescension, no. And unconscious bias, microaggressions, no. At least not clearly in that, so let's move on.
No financial aid.
Yeah.
No in-state tuition rate that I qualify for.
Yep.
And lack of proper mentorship.
Okay, well, those first two are probably direct consequences of the fact that you're not here legally. You don't have a social security number, you got no official papers, and so on. That last one, no mentorship. I hope you explain that one, because not quite sure what that has to do with anything. I didn't have any mentors to put me to college. I mean, define mentorship. What do you mean?
That was 12 years ago.
12 years ago. Okay, so 12 years ago you graduated from high school. Okay, and so this was done in 2020, I think. Okay, so 2008. Your junior year. Well, we don't know when you started. So I'm reflexively trying to figure out when he came across the border and how old he was, since he hasn't said yet. And so it's like, anyway.
And today, A lot of high school students are facing the same questions and the same challenges that I faced back then.
Are all of these high school students here illegally?
Particularly is the first one on in-state tuition.
Okay.
Undocumented students in many states of the United States don't qualify for the same rate as their peers.
I can't possibly imagine why that might be.
If a student graduates from a local high school, went to high school for the 4 years at the same place, and then tries to go to the college across the street, in many states, they don't qualify for in-state tuition rates.
Are you going to tell us why not being here legally is the reason you didn't qualify for these things as readily as other people would?
Take the local university, for example.
Okay.
A one-year tuition is about $7,000.
Yeah.
Tuition for an out-of-state student is considered to be $22,000, 3 times as much.
Okay.
The big reason here, or the big myth, is that undocumented immigrants do not contribute or pay taxes.
I know that undocumented immigrants pay taxes. Paying taxes does not entitle you to all the rights and privileges of citizenship. So if you're paying taxes, but you're a criminal, you don't somehow get a pass on being a criminal. What are you talking about?
Well, that is not true. According to the Institute of Taxation and Public Policy, undocumented immigrants contribute about $12 billion in local and state taxes, and they pay an effective tax rate of 5.4%.
Okay, so rights and privileges afforded to citizens should be up for sale in America? Is that what you're saying? They should be purchasable? Because you pay taxes, sales tax. I mean, I don't know which kind of taxes you're talking about, but what does that got to do with anything? So?
My apologies. Let me take that back.
Okay.
They pay an effective tax rate of 8%.
So?
Those who pay the 5.4% are actually those in the 1% that make the most money and make the top 1%. They pay an effective tax rate of 5.4%.
So what does that have to do with anything? How does paying taxes absolve you of being in the country illegally, of not following the laws of this country, of avoiding law enforcement, in hiding, in lying to people? What does that have to do with anything? Why should you be given a lesser cost on college because in aggregate illegal immigrants pay a lot of taxes? What? Okay, so if I'm divining this correctly, your argument is you should be able to pay the in-state tax rate for college tuition because you and your family pay some kind of taxes. Okay, that's your argument. At least that is what I have divined now as your argument, given your 3 complaints here. So I look forward to you backing that argument up. Thank you, Havoc Vladimir Stolinov. How do you pay state and federal taxes with no social security number? I don't know what he's talking about. I'll give him a chance to explain here, but if not, I'm circling no context because I don't know what he means by paying taxes. How did he pay taxes? In what way did he pay taxes? Right? He's talking about an effective tax rate, but he's not talking about the specifics. What taxes did his family pay? All right, not the 12 billion that are derived from activity of illegal immigrants in the country. What actions did he and his family take that he thinks qualifies him or should have qualified him for state rates on tuition?
In addition, the Institute says that if undocumented immigrants are provided legal status, their tax contribution would increase by as much as $2 billion.
So again, citizenship, rights and privileges thereof should be up for sale in America. That's your argument. I mean, what's one of your several arguments, I suppose? Okay, interesting theory.
So what does that mean?
I have absolutely no idea.
It means that undocumented immigrants are contributing by their taxes to public institutions, and in return, their students should be allowed to pay the same fair rate as their peers.
No. No. People persistently breaking the laws of this country do not deserve anything that an official legal citizen gets. Now, let me back up slightly. There are a plethora of rights afforded to even people here illegally under law. Okay, I'm not unaware of that fact. I guess I'm just talking more in sentiment than I am in specific. But in this case, no. No. You have legal protections in the country, even if you're not here legally, but you have no defined or earned right to privileges regarding tax reduced tuition. No, you're here illegally. You're not supposed to be here in the first place. And you, as an individual, may be a victim of your parents' bad choices. That's true, but that's the unfortunate thing. Your parents put you in that situation. You are a victim of their choices. It's unfortunate. Now, that being said, I do not have a problem with DACA. And by extension, I don't have a problem in spirit with the DREAM Act. These things in place, functionally speaking, are things I don't think are bad. Like I say, I consider this guy, whether he does or not, a victim of his parents' bad decisions. He didn't have a choice in being put in a situation where his opportunities in life, the potential he could have, would be limited, drastically limited, by being in the country illegally on the basis of his parents' choices. So, in that sense, I don't have a problem with DACA. If you're otherwise haven't broken the law, if you're only here illegally because of other people's choices, there's no reason why you should be punished in that way if you were a minor when you were brought here. I don't think so. Okay. So I don't have a problem with him getting the benefits of something like DACA or the DREAM Act. But saying that just across the board, nonstop, without consideration, illegal immigrants should somehow have the ability to pay effectively for all the rights and privileges of being a citizen, no. No, no, no. Thank you, Dark Lyle. He is equating sales and property tax with income tax, likely because they are all taxes. Yeah, that's the thing that he doesn't specify here. Paying taxes. If I buy a pack of bubble gum, I pay taxes. And those taxes effectively, since money's fungible, go into paying for the roads and the streets and the colleges, etc. That doesn't entitle me to a reduced tuition. All right.
Another myth is that undocumented immigrants take advantage of the systems. Well, that is not true. It's quite the opposite.
How do you not take advantage of the systems? If you're here illegally, if you're not supposed to be here, if you're coming here for a better life and better opportunities, as you listed off as your father's motivations for coming here, how is he not taking advantage of the systems of this country for his own and his family's benefit that were unavailable to him in Mexico? Okay, that's an outright lie. If you're not taking advantages of the systems in this country, why are you even here? Why are you here? Why did your father come here? That's nonsense. You're not supposed to be here in the first place. You're paying taxes on what again? You mean roads? Schools? You're not taking advantage again? What?
The U.S. systems take advantage of our migrant and undocumented workers.
Okay. All right. Hold on. All right. So first off, systemic, institutional. I'm circling that one just because of what he's saying here. Leaves out vital context. Doing that for sure. Contradicts own point or argument. Yeah, nonsense. You're not taking advantage of the systems here. Be honest. Be honest. Come on. Let's see. Anecdote that probably never happened. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there for now until something more apparent comes up. Okay, backing up a little bit because I did cut him off.
Take advantage of the systems. Well, that is not true. It's quite the opposite. The U.S. systems take advantage of our migrant and undocumented workers.
There'd be nothing to take advantage of if you did not come here illegally. And the people that take, I mean, you're paying the taxes, right? Okay, so you say that paying the taxes qualifies you for in-state tuition costs. Oh, but the country's actually taking advantage of you because they take all those taxes and they don't have to give you anything, even though you're paying those taxes and say that you're somehow deserving of something. Okay.
Now,
are you going to give us an example of how you're being taken advantage of? I mean, don't get me wrong. There are employers out there. There are individuals out there that do take advantage of people who don't have the ability to easily go to the authorities. You know, employers that exploit workers with ridiculously low wages because they know they can't run to the cops because they're here illegally. People who smuggle people into this country. There are people in this country and in Mexico and elsewhere, I'm sure, that take advantage of people bringing them into this country. Or once they're here, taking advantage of their labor, certainly. So we know that to be the case because there are laws that say you can't do that. So what are you talking about?
My story as a college graduate and professional now.
Oh, you're college. Well, okay. How did you afford college? We haven't gotten to that part yet.
It's not possible in many states.
Okay.
My story is possible thanks to my work, my determination, my not giving up, yes. But it's also in part thanks to in-state tuition or the out-of-state tuition rate or the out-of-state tuition waiver for select high school students in the state of Florida.
Wait. You got a waiver? I could have sworn you said you weren't taking advantage of any systems in this country.
It is thanks to private institutions like the Dream.us.
Oh, okay. Private institutions. All right.
And it's thanks to the DACA program.
Oh, the DACA program. You mean the systems in this country that you're taking advantage of. Okay. So you got through school. You got school paid for by other people in this country. Okay. So.
And with that, I would like to take you through my journey with the DACA program.
Okay.
In 2012, the Obama administration, after many failed attempts from Congress to pass a DREAM Act, and after young student leaders and student advocates pushed for something to be done, executed or passed through an executive order the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. That was in 2012.
Okay, well, he's absolutely correct. Yes, there was not not passed by Congress, not signed into law. It was an executive order, a presidential fiat. It's one of those situations where I don't disagree with the program, but I am not at all a fan of the way in which it was implemented. But okay, yes, all of that. So in summary, all of that is accurate.
When I heard the news, man, I was excited.
Yeah, I'm sure you were.
And at the same time, I was nervous because I didn't know if this was for real. Because what I had to do is I had to raise my hand, come out of the shadows and say, hey, I am undocumented. And I think I qualify for this program because I was under 16. I have been in the country since 2007. I passed a very robust background check, and I had graduated from high school.
Okay, you qualified. Curious to know what happened to your parents.
So I raised my hand, I applied, and in 2013, I received the approval.
Okay, so you benefited from programs in America. Okay.
And with that, I got an employment authorization card that allowed me to work. And I also got a social security number so that I could pay my taxes from those works that I executed.
Oh, you weren't paying taxes before then? I thought okay.
Also, I got to live the real American dream, which is with a social security number, you can get credit.
Yay!
Which is what America is all about.
Well, unfortunately, in a lot of cases, yes. Yeah, imagine getting something that you're not paying for right now. What a theme.
In 2014, after the in-state tuition rate, after out-of-state tuition waiver for high school students was approved in 2014, I was able to go to Valencia Community College and pay in-state tuition rate. And just 1 year after that, I graduated with my associate's degree. I had straight A's in every single one of my classes because when you're paying with your own money, you're a little extra motivated to like get good grades.
You're paying with your own money. You talked about a private institution that, did I miss that part? You're paying with your own money. Then what was the private institution's help with that?
And I also renew my DACA for the first time. Every 2 years, DACA recipients need to renew their status.
Yeah.
In 2015, I started my bachelor's degree at the University of Central Florida.
Who was paying for that? Were you paying for that? Was that being waived again? What?
And then in 2016, the election occurred.
Yes.
Which forced me to cancel a study abroad program that I had planned for because DACA is a very unstable policy.
Yeah, that's one of the problems with it. It was implemented by presidential executive order. It can be undone with presidential executive order. Trump tried to do that in order to, I mean, for all intents and purposes, blackmail Congress into finally doing something themselves and passing a law instead of having something that was just sitting there on a whim. But he was stopped by the courts, even though Congress wouldn't act on passing the DREAM Act for reasons I do not understand, except politics, obviously. But yeah, that is the danger of DACA. It's also the danger of executive orders in general. They're only as strong as the president sitting in the seat decides them to be.
It has been changing. It has been at risk of being removed multiple times.
Yep.
And I wasn't sure what would happen after the election of 2016. So I canceled that study abroad situation. But I didn't give up. 2017 came around. I renewed my DACA for the second time, got my bachelor's degree, and I became the dream deferred.
You became the dream deferred. Wow. Really? You became the dream deferred that Langston Hughes was talking about. Okay.
That dream that I had in 2008 came to full circle in 2017 when I finally achieved what I wanted to do, which was to be the first one in my family to graduate from college.
Okay, and now for those of you at home, I don't know if he's going to go over this, but just in case he doesn't, he has a timeline. 2008, high school graduation. 2012, DACA announcement. 2013, initial DACA approval. 2014, started Valencia College. 2015, first DACA renewal, associate's degree. 2015, started at UCF. 2016, presidential election, and then his study abroad is crossed out. 2017, second DACA renewal, bachelor's degree. 2017, DACA is rescinded. 2018, 4 bills are introduced in the Senate. And then what?
Also in 2017 was the removal, or the DACA was rescinded.
Yep.
So while I was celebrating my graduation, I wasn't sure what the future held. In response to that, 4 bills were introduced in 2018 in the Senate.
Yep.
All of them provided a path to citizenship for undocumented immigrants, like myself, undocumented students.
Yep.
and all of them failed.
Yeah, they did, didn't they? Didn't they, though? Pretty stupid, huh?
Mostly because of a debate over the border wall and funding for the border wall.
Yep.
Which I would like to ask a question to
Okay.
you right now.
Okay.
Which one do you think makes up for the most undocumented immigrants in this country? Those who overstay their visa or those who physically cross the border?
That's not the only consideration. Drug trafficking, human trafficking, the defense of our borders, the establishment and acknowledgement of our sovereignty, and on and on and on. That's not the point, but go on.
If you said those who overstay their visa, you are correct.
Crossing the border illegally, overstaying your visa, does that equate to somebody being in the country illegally? Yes. You know, and I've said this before. I have relatives who work in U.S. border security, customs enforcement, and such things. And a couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to talk with them and heard absolute horror stories about child trafficking in particular, but other such things, human trafficking in general. Some of those stories are just insane, you know. And if you want to have any inkling of it, you can look them up. They're out there. The wall is not there just to prevent crimes of love. The barriers we had there before Trump became president, the barriers that'll be there after Trump is not president, and so on and so forth. There are reasons why we have these things there. There are reasons that people don't want to admit to. There are hideous things that occur, hideous people out there, setting aside anybody who's quote unquote just trying to cross the border for a better life, as if breaking the law for a noble reason somehow, I don't know, cleanses you of the crime inherently. Between drugs and weapons and people, it's not just that. And the fact that our speaker is glossing over the other considerations when it comes to border security, let alone what the wall is there for, is amazing to me. That's, well, maybe it's not amazing to me, but it's dishonest.
67% of undocumented immigrants today overstayed their visa, and the rest either crossed the border or came in a different manner.
And that has what to do with in-state college tuition. You're not getting the benefits of something that was implemented outside of congressional oversight and approval. Okay? And Congress has yet to move to compensate with something actually official and legal. Trump gave them the opportunity to do so. He said, I'm going to suspend DACA in 6 months, and that'll give you guys time to put something together so that by the time I turn this off, there'll be something there to take it up. And they didn't do it. The Republicans didn't do it. The Democrats didn't do it. So I don't know what to tell you. Thank you, John Miller. Fine, send them to Canada instead. Well, I've always heard that Canada is far more accepting of illegal immigrants. I don't know exactly what the situation there is now, but anyway. But yeah, so, okay, most of the people in this country who are here illegally overstayed their visas. Well, then I guess that's a good argument for restricting or outright ending the visa program, huh? Is that what you're arguing for? I don't know what you're arguing for at this point, because you didn't get in-state tuition. Oh, wait, yes, you did. People who pay taxes in this country should be given, I don't know what, the rights and privileges of citizens simply for paying money. A relatively small amount of money in the grand scheme of things. Oh, okay, is that your argument? I don't know what your argument is. Oh, or the border wall is preventing these things to pass through Congress and get DACA or the DREAM Act passed. Maybe so. And it just shows how contentious a situation and issue it is. even for Congress to pass something that, in general, I don't have a problem with. So what is your argument? What is your point? You are in this situation because your parents broke the law, okay? And in that sense, I have a lot of sympathy. It was not your fault. You weren't put in this position because you wanted to be. You weren't given these disadvantages because it's fair. It's your parents' fault. Are you going to acknowledge any of that? Or are you going to somehow put the blame on America for not catering to your every need since you're here illegally?
Not many people know this, but this is part of the reason that a border wall just doesn't fix the problem.
What is the problem? What problem are you referring to?
There's a lot more that needs to be discussed beyond just a wall.
Regarding what? People being in the country illegally? Is the wall only there to prevent illegal immigration? Riddle me that, Batman. Is the wall only there to prevent illegal immigration?
With that in mind, we continue with our timeline. And then in 2019, I did my third DACA renewal.
How did you do your third DACA renewal? I thought DACA was rescinded in 2018.
This is an important time for me because at this moment, I have been working for, I've been at my job, at my professional job for 1 year, and renewing that was going to dictate whether or not I could continue working in leadership development, helping young student leaders become a better version of themselves.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure the work you do is very beneficial to people. I don't want to dismiss that completely. So what?
When I was able to renew that, I was able to continue with my mission and my purpose and continue to be a person of great value to this country and to my community.
I hope that is the case. So, where are your parents, by the way?
Fast forward to this year, 2020,
and
DACA is upheld by the Supreme Court.
Right. Yeah, even though it's an executive order that by all rights should be at the whim of the president, i.e. the executive, the Supreme Court stops it from being rescinded. So, and?
This was a breath of fresh air.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
For many of us.
Yeah, no, I know it was, because without it, you'd be right in the same place where your parents put you before it was implemented, which sucks. But that's the tenuous nature of the situation without an actual law passed. But then none of that had anything to do with your father coming to the country illegally the first time, because he wouldn't have qualified at all. What's up with your dad? What's up with your mom? I'm curious to know.
No, it was for me.
Yeah.
It brought DACA back to its original status of 2012, where new applicants could apply, I could continue to renew, and if possible, I could apply for advanced parole, which was the only way that I could potentially leave the country and come back safely, as long as I met one of 3 criteria for my trip.
Boy, yeah, taking advantage of systems in the country again. Anyway, thank you, Red V7. The majority of gun owners aren't criminals, so I guess we shouldn't do background checks. Yeah, you know. Yeah, if someone comes to the border, you're probably fine. You know, making sure that that kid you have with you is actually yours and not someone else's, or kidnapped from their legal guardian. Yeah, I'm sure that's fine. Yeah.
Humanitarian reasons, for my job, or for educational purposes. Well, a few weeks after the Supreme Court upheld DACA,
yes,
the U.S. Department of Homeland Security came up with a new memorandum saying that they were looking into the DACA program once more time. And in the meantime, they would reduce the 2-year renewals to be only 1 year, meaning that every year starting now, when I renew my DACA and my employment authorization, instead of having 2 years to plan my life, which is already stressful.
Oh, no.
Now I only have 1 year.
Oh, no. Oh, your stressful life. Oh, no. Once a year, you have to go check in. Once a year, you have to file some paper. Oh, no. to plan your life. Oh, God. Oh, you poor, poor thing. Golly gee whiz. You know, prior to DACA, you had absolutely no opportunity for everything or for anything. And then DACA comes along. I mean, despite my objections over its implementation, it's there. It's something provided to you by the United States of America. It's an opportunity and a freedom provided you that didn't exist before, but now that it does, oh, you're inconvenienced.
Which means that every 6 months after I get my car, I got to start the process again.
Oh, no!
Another thing that they're discussing is the removal or possible minimizing the advanced parole program. And I want to spend a few minutes on this one here.
A few minutes? Well, according to the timer, you've got less than 2.
Because advanced parole has given me the opportunity to go back to Mexico, to my first home, and be able to connect with the country that I've left behind.
That's got nothing to do with anything. And wait, by the way, you didn't leave it behind. You came here with a purpose. You came here with a reason, right? Are we supposed to feel sorry for you now because you came here with a reason, a purpose, a destiny, and so on and so forth? Where are we going with this?
I am a bicultural, binational individual.
You're a bicultural, binational individual. Okay. And?
With American roots, Mexican roots as well.
As so?
Home is here and home is there.
No. Pick one. Are you an American? Are you a proto-American citizen or are you not? You came here illegally. Again, not under your own legal volition, but by your parents' whim.
And thanks to advanced parole in 2020, I was able to go on a trip with the U.S.-Mexico Foundation to learn about my country.
Learn about your country. Okay, so the reduction of renewal time from 2 years to 1 year didn't actually stop you from doing anything. Okay.
But beyond that, I got a chance to do something that I haven't done in over 13 years.
What's that?
Which was to give a hug and a kiss to my grandmother.
Whose choice was that? Whose choice? I mean, are you okay? I'm circling playing victim because now he's trying to make me feel sorry for him when he played up coming here with a purpose. His parents came here so nobly, etc. A crime of love. And now, only now has he been able to hug his grandmother again after being in the country illegally and how it'd be almost impossible to leave and then come back under such conditions. Only now. Your parents made a choice. You went along with that choice. Either you understood the consequences and implications of that choice or you didn't, except you told us at the beginning that you understood what your status was from the beginning of your experience coming to this country. So I'm sorry, no sympathy on this point. You made the choice. You gave it up. You did that. Which is it? Are you a victim or are you a victor?
It has been 4 years since I've been able to see my grandmother in person.
Uh-huh.
And I hope to be able to do it soon again.
Okay.
With advanced parole. Better yet, with a permanent solution to the DACA situation, which, as I said before, is an unstable policy that makes our lives very difficult to live. And
it makes your lives at present able to be lived in the way that you want. Would you have been able to go to college without it? Would you have been able to get a job without it? This is why DACA is not some grand miracle, because it was implemented unstably. It exists unstably, and it can be taken away with the right or the, an opposite decision on the basis of the Supreme Court. This is why a permanent solution should be in place. This is why Congress has failed over and over and over again to solve this problem, because it is a problem. Like I said, I don't think kids who are brought here against their whim, against their knowledge, whatever else, should have to suffer the same fate as their adult, mature of age, legally responsible adult parents for having made that decision. I don't think they should. They should have an opportunity that their parents should not be afforded, because just like we don't, charge a baby with murder or something, we're not going to hold a young child responsible for illegal immigration on the behalf of their adult parents. So they should have opportunities their parents don't deserve. So I don't have a problem with the program. I don't have a problem with the sentiments around it. I have a problem with its implementation. I also have a problem with somebody complaining about something while instituted in an unstable fashion has provided them with beyond the scale opportunities they would never have had before in the first place. I mean, are you grateful to this nation for what it has provided you at this point, or is it just going to be complain, complain, complain? Good God, I'm sounding like I'm sounding like my father to a certain extent, which is scary enough to me. But man, I just work within the system. Then what are you doing to try to change the law? Right? Again, a law, a program, I don't have a problem with. But like, oh, I've only been able to see my grandmother. Like, well, tough nuts, man. I don't know what to tell you. You're also employed. You're also a college graduate. You got a social security number. Good Lord. Are you at all thankful? Because all of this has been complaining.
Manage. With that, I'd like to finish up speaking a little bit more about what 2020 brings to us, because what does 2020 look like?
It's looked like the opening montage to a post-apocalyptic disaster film. I
cannot read the future, but one thing I can tell you for sure is that in 2020, we'll be here to stay.
What?
And with that, I'll leave you with one final thought.
That I don't know if that's supposed to be comforting or if that's supposed to be a threat.
From Langston Hughes.
Oh, right, Langston Hughes.
Where he talks about, oh, let America be America again.
You mean a land of laws under the Constitution where you hold people to account for breaking them? That kind of America? What's up with your parents, by the way?
The land that never has been yet, and yet must be the land where every man is free.
Should Charles Manson have been freed under that theory? I just want to, I'll go to the extreme. I'll go to the extreme. Is someone in prison for murder, should they be just free because Langston Hughes has a poem about it? Do actions not have consequences? Do laws not have some relevance? I mean, what is America without the laws and rights set down in the Constitution? The laws that you and your family violated. The laws that are now, at least technically, providing you the ability to go to college, to hold a job, to be here without threat of deportation. Is there any respect at all for the laws in place that allow all of us the ability to live relatively free compared to the rest of the world? Compared, presumably, with your country of origin that your father fled? Anything at all? You have anything to say about that? Really? I guess that's it. Okay. Well, there you go. Yeah. Okay, and I need to back up a little bit. I'm not meaning to dismiss his honest, hard labor. It's not exactly handed to him a college degree, a job, and so on and so forth. He actually had to put some effort in. I'm not dismissing that. But the opportunities provided him did not need to be provided him under the law at the time that he and his family crossed the border. The fact that those things even happened should be something that, there's a little bit of gratefulness for, I would think. Or at least be saying, it's great, this should be in place permanently and so on and so forth. Here's what I want to do to make that happen. Or here's what should happen. But no, every single point along the way, it was just, it's not happening fast enough. I have to register every year instead of every 2. I haven't seen my grandmother. I'm not quite sure if our speaker understands the position and honestly the rewards he has reaped from the DACA program that were not guaranteed in any way, shape, or form when he got here. Anyway, sorry, I just have a thing about people who knowingly or are knowing to have broken the rules, complaining about not getting rewards for it. I kind of a pet peeve of mine, All right, moving on to the bingo card. Anecdote that probably never happened. I don't have any reason to disbelieve anything that he told us as far as stories are concerned. He didn't say anything that sounded like a complete whopper to me. So self-vilification or wretchedness, no, none of that. Weightless example, those Langston Hughes quotes, yeah, I'm going to call those examples because he's trying to back it up as an like somehow that is in support of his argument, whatever his argument was. Word salad. I understood everything he said. It lacked context. It lacked a good argument, and so on, but there are other squares for that. So if somebody can give me a relative example of a word salad, maybe, but I'm not going to circle it yet. Takes credit for something done, experienced by others in their demographic. I mean, as far as like equating himself with the Pilgrims and a Holocaust survivor, I'm circling that one. White supremacy, no, he never touched on race. Privilege, well, I mean, he talked about taxpayers versus not taxpayers, or taxpayers who weren't here legally versus taxpayers who are. He talked about privileges. Does that count? I don't know. You guys tell me. Should that count? Because that's not being literal. Equity. Well, in essence, he was talking about an equality of outcome, even if the circumstances were obviously not the same. Like people should be getting the same in-state tuition, even if they're not here legally. He was looking for equality of outcome, so I'm circling equity. Attempt to coin new buzzword, buzz phrase. Nothing in there was something new. Wage gap. No, I mean, he talked a little bit about finances and being able to afford college and such, but he didn't talk about differentials in pay or anything. Patriarchy, no. Feminism, no. Mind reading assumes motives. I don't know. I don't recall that he made any sort of judgments about what people think. I mean, he complained about Congress. He skated the line between making accusations and not. So I'll take arguments elsewise, but it doesn't occur to me. Toxic, no. Marginalized, marginalization. He was effectively talking about people being marginalized for being here illegally, paying taxes but not getting the same result, etc. Make something about race, sex, etc. for no reason. No, he never did. Benevolent condescension. Not that I can recall. And microaggressions, unconscious bias. Not really. Okay. Now, admittedly, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe my own brain glossed over something. So if you guys have any arguments to the contrary, there's the bingo card as I have it right now. I'll give a couple minutes for that, and then we will wrap up. Keeverdam, scribe like buzz phrase for dream deferred. The Langston Hughes poem is a very, very, very well-known poem. I'm not going to credit him with creating that, so no, dream deferred doesn't count. Renovescio, I can assure you, scribe, he knows exactly what he has received for breaking the law. He simply has contempt for you and everyone else who is a U.S. native, and he demands you be forced to give him even more. That is the attitude I come away with listening to him. Okay? That is the attitude I take away from that presentation. I don't know the guy personally. I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but that presentation sounded more like more complaint than it was, hello, fellow neighbor. I'm here to be a good citizen, and I want things to be better for people in my situation. And this is what I hope to have happen. Because, like I said, at its core, I have sympathy for this man's situation. He is a victim of his parents' decisions. Okay? Up until there was DACA, he was going to have to live under a cloud for his whole life as to whether or not he would be allowed to remain in the country, all the limitations placed on him in the absence of being here legally. And all of that is his parents' fault. He did not make a legal or conscious choice to do that. So like I say, in that sense, I don't have a problem with him. I don't have a problem with DACA or the DREAM Act. All of that's legit. But given the circumstances he finds himself in, I'm amazed that he just sounded like he was complaining. It didn't sound like he was trying to collaborate. It sounded like he was demanding. I'm like, dude, I don't deserve something just because I say I want it. I don't know what you think, if he has any idea. Well, I don't know what you think like citizens do in this country. As citizens, we have a lot of rights and privileges. It's true. We do. And a lot of opportunities afforded us, unlike people who are here illegally, just by nature of being here legally. But that doesn't mean our outcomes are guaranteed, or that our convenience is catered to at every point, or that bureaucracy somehow doesn't play an obstacle in our everyday lives. You are very fortunate to have the problems that you have. Yes. Anyway, Spittlebuggy, Scribe Light. He is blaming ICE for his issues. He shouldn't blame them because Nancy Pelosi put in all the extras he has to deal with. Do you think he actually likes being here? I don't know. I can't read his mind. He's blaming. I mean, to be fair, he's blaming our governmental system for his still having to do all these things and the unstable nature of DACA, which is a legitimate complaint. You know, DACA being there as an executive order rather than as a law passed by Congress and signed by the president under the DREAM Act or something similar, that is a fair point to argue and complain about. You know, we shouldn't have an immigration system or an aspect of it supported only by a single person's whim. That's not how it's supposed to work, but that's how it is working, regrettably. So in that regard, his living under or basically I should say, his having a place in this country built on a foundation of sand is unfair. It's unfair to him. It's unfair to everybody who's following the rules and doesn't know what the rules are going to be a week, a month, a year from now. Right? It's kind of like being a YouTuber. You don't know what YouTube's going to say tomorrow as far as their advertising policy or their content policy. There should be clear, defined rules to operate under, and he doesn't have them. And I agree, that's not fair. Something should change. There should be a law passed rather than an executive order just sitting there waiting to be altered again. But he didn't seem to be arguing for that. He was complaining about it, but he was also saying that because people here illegally pay taxes, somehow then they should also be given the same abilities and opportunities as citizens, which doesn't make any sense. Let's see. Nobody, not me. No bingo, but plenty of jingoism. I guess. Let's see. James Von Maxwell. His professional job. What community organizer? BLM member? Social worker? I don't know. Let's say that they were, and he gets paid to do it. Okay. He's putting in the time and getting a paycheck. Good for him. He never mentioned his parents. He never mentioned his other siblings. I think he said that he had more than one brother or sister coming across here. I'm curious to know, what are the status of his parents? Are they some of the lucky few who can like register with ICE and still remain in the country? Never mentioned it. And as far as I can tell, I don't believe he ever said the word illegal or illegally. I could be mistaken. I don't think he ever did. Some Numnal Nation, love you, Scribe Light, but this one was not fun. This guy really pissed me off. Where's the Tylenol? Well, they can't all be comedy fests. They can't all be things that someone says something that makes me laugh my ass off. And this one, it was just kind of like, Yeah, I get it. What's your point? Bad arguments. Zeo Gold, what is it about individualism, taking responsibility, self-improvement, and hard work that upset leftists? Well, like I said, he obviously put the effort in. He got his AA, he got his BA, he's got a job, he's on a TEDx stage. I mean, the guy's not a slouch or anything. And he wouldn't qualify for DACA if he had a criminal record. So, hey, and again, it's like, oh, well, he's a criminal scribe because he's here illegally. Yeah, but again, not by his own choice. He didn't make a conscious decision to break the law. Legally, even though everything he said in this might counter that on a mental level, because he says, I knew I came here with a purpose, etc. Like, you're not giving yourself a whole lot of space to argue that you're an innocent victim here, which you legally are and sentimentally are, and I believe you to be ultimately. But that kind of attitude makes me go, little much. Dr. No Scribelight, will you add long story to the next bingo card next time? Like I said, you could say this whole thing is a long story, but that's such a rare event in a TEDx that it wouldn't be something that would end up on the card. Let's see, a couple more comments. John Miller, DACA is still not law. It should be shot down and the Congress actually get off their butts if they want to do something about it. Too bad Congress won't do anything about it. Well, Congress got their rear end saved by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court basically kicked the can down the road until such time as a case comes up to them again to challenge it. Or the next president or a president in the future decides to rescind it again. So it's de facto law right now, which I don't appreciate. A, because that's not how laws should be implemented. And B, like I said, it is not fair to people benefiting from this policy. I mean, it's basically a glorified presidential executive policy to not know what the terms of service are from day to day, month to month, year to year. You know, I mean, his complaint about having to register every year instead of every 2 years, yeah, that's some petulant, childish stuff to complain about. But fundamentally, he's not wrong to complain that the rules can be changed and the rug pulled out from underneath them at any time, which is why Congress should do its job. And they haven't. They've kicked the can down the road, and now the Supreme Court has done it for them to the extent they may never actually have to touch it again until a president decides to challenge that executive order again. So a lot of things going on here, a lot of moving parts to this. But with that, guys, I think we're at where we're going to be at with the bingo card. No bingos, unfortunately, today. We got close-ish, but maybe next time. I've got a couple others lined up for the future. The other day, TEDx, boy, oh boy, they dropped a bunch of beauties. At least they look like beauties. We'll see how they go as we proceed. But with that, everyone, I'm going to wrap this up here. Yes, a bit of an irritating one, a bit of a frustrating one. Not exactly comedy today, but again, I think things are learned as we go through these. When we take a look at different perspectives and different arguments on things, good or bad, it's all beneficial, I think, in the end. Everyone, thank you so much for joining me today for this one. I really do appreciate it. It probably would not have been as, at least, worthwhile without you guys here. Thank you so much for your attendance. Thank you so much for your participation, especially. Thank you for your generosity. If you would like to hear more from me or Satsu 2 Cents or the Ranting Monkey, you can find all three of us tonight on Satsu 2 Cents' channel for Lords of the Night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, where we'll talk about the news of the day, stories that you submit to us, what we've been up to on the internet, and then your questions and comments. Everyone, I hope you're all safe and well. If you're not well, please get well soon, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.